What's up, War Report family? It is your boy C Dub. Auburn falls at LSU 18-48. All the guys are here to discuss that on this Sunday and discuss where Auburn goes from here in the latest edition of the Weekend Tailgate.
This is the Weekend Tailgate. Brought to you by Golden's Cast Iron. C-Dub. I Joe. Be Will. By G. You are now listening to
Happy Sunday. At least I hope it's a happy Sunday for you all. Welcome to the latest Weekend Tailgate, courtesy of our show sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Guys, with them, you get to work out, grill out, and chill out. We definitely want to thank them for being a sponsor of our show. Also, we're very thankful that you guys are hanging out with us on a Sunday, or if you're catching this on a replay, do us a favor, share this content with some of your Auburn friends, do the Lord's work, and share and give them the gift of the War Report. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, become part of the Green Name Game and get access to some of the film reviews that Ike's doing. Ike, tell them how they can do that, sir.
It's really simple. The join button is your friend. Go ahead and click that right now. And as painful as it may be, we are still going to watch the film from this game this week. And we're going to preview film from Ole Miss at some point in time this week. It's going to happen. I'm going to still do it. I'm going to still show up, and I'm going to still do what I committed to do, as much as it's going to pain me to do it. But if you want to hear an expletive-laced watch the film commentary, show up some point this week when we do it, because it's happening. You can gift a membership to somebody. If you don't like expletives, I apologize, but I'm apologizing in advance. You might just want to not tune into that one. But you can gift a membership to somebody else, and maybe they can sit and watch me go on a tirade as I watch film. And that should be fun for all involved. We're giving away a mug, hashtag get your weight up, in the live chat right now. And somebody's going to get that mug from us, courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services, hashtag get your weight up, in order to be able to be a part of that drawing.
All right, gentlemen. You were on the live at some point at different points last night. I was not on the post game or the halftime, but I did do the pregame. I hopped in to kind of give my thoughts. I'm not really upset that Auburn is 3-3. I think there was a clear path for Auburn to be 3-3 at this point in the season, given who we had to play in terms of Texas A&M, LSU, and Georgia. And there's no shame in losing to Georgia or even to LSU, who now appears to begin looking like the team that I thought they were going to be in the preseason. But I am frustrated with where we are offensively. Very frustrated with how we are offensively. I didn't get a chance to kind of share my thoughts. Shouts out to some of our fellow podcasters from the College Loop and Uptempo podcast for hopping on, sharing their thoughts about the game. But I'll give them some of my thoughts, guys. I know typically as the host, I'm typically quarterbacking these discussions and throwing you guys topics and asking questions. But I do want to say a few things before we get into the show. I'm doing something a little different because I think it fits really appropriately here. But here goes.
What did we see?
All right. Hugh, I'm going to need you to come down to the front of the congregation. I want to have a word with you. Now, beginning of this last year, I've talked about this. Of the War Report, there were two guys who, when we talk about coaches we wanted, once we finally start speaking up, two of us actually wanted Hugh Freeze. Ike is raising his hand, and yours truly speaking now wanted Hugh Freeze. So we were excited. I was excited. Kind of quiet about it because his hire brought a lot of controversy. There were people who had issues about his past and so on and so forth, and whether or not he deserved to have the Auburn job. So I was really quiet with my excitement, but I was excited about this hire because of what he has done offensively in previous stops. Ole Miss, Liberty, Arkansas State, so on and so forth. And I'm not saying that I'm jumping ship. This isn't a personal attack on Hugh Freeze. I still think he's a great coach. But Hugh Freeze, we're calling you to the front because I have some questions for you. I'm beginning to question a few things, not based off of any expectation I had per se. It's off of things you have said publicly to the media. There was a point, I can't remember, guys, if it was media days or just going into fall camp. Hugh Freeze said this. Correct me if I'm wrong. He said, I feel that I could win with all three QBs, being Peyton Thorne, Robbie Ashford, Holden Geriner. Did he say that?
Yeah, he did say that.
He did say that. And I actually think that might have even predated Peyton Thorne's arrival.
Yes, that
Okay.
was when TJ
That was when
Finley was
TJ
here.
was on the team.
Okay.
If I'm
so
not mistaken.
So he believed that he could win with the quarterbacks we have here.
Mhm.
Yet, we get in games, 6 games in. Auburn has yet to eclipse 1,000 yards passing. We're 120 out of 130 in FBS teams in terms of passing offense. And the guy that you brought out of the transfer portal that you skipped over QBs to get to is missing receivers when he does see them. When he chooses to throw the ball, he'll miss receivers. Doesn't see certain receivers who are getting open. Sees some receivers that gets open and hesitates and misses the opportunity to get the ball to them. Several times yesterday and throughout this season, we've seen him throw into double coverage, punting the ball with his arm, in a sense. You said you can win with our QBs, Hugh. What's happening? And if you felt that good about Robbie Ashford and Holden Geriner, and you see that we're struggling on offense passing the ball, how come you don't trust to throw the ball with any of these guys in key moments, in key situations? If you believe you can win with these people. And this was the guy who said, I turn around programs and I improve QBs. Didn't he say that too, Mike?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Introductory.
So what he said doesn't match with what we're seeing 6 games in. Hugh, what's going on, Hugh? Because this isn't about Peyton Thorne anymore. I'm not even trying to bash him. This is about Hugh and what he has said. Why is it that you have been able to have success everywhere you've been, and now you look lost? Why is it that we're on our 3rd offensive-minded head coach, and our offense looks historically bad? How is it that Hugh Freeze, Phil Montgomery, Kent Austin have come together and put together a worse offense than Eric Kiesau? How did you do that? How did you manage to achieve that? Are you even trying, Hugh? Again, I'm not mad that we're 3-3. There's a clear path to being 3-3, but why are we historically bad offensively?
Valid question.
And my second question, Hugh.
You're asking good ones so far. Continue. Go ahead.
What in the heck is going on at Auburn? I understand why people get into conspiracy theory and think that there's someone meddling in the program, because how is it that Gus Malzahn, our previous coach, Carson, Hugh Freeze, who are offensive coaches, get here and forget how to put together a competent offense, at least in the passing game? How does that happen at Auburn?
You 2 for 2 on good questions. Keep asking them.
And quietly, Gus Malzahn, he has a top 10 offense statistically. It's like he remembered how to put together an offense after he left here. What is happening here? How is it that you get here in year 1 We have a terrible passing offense. And this is what you do. This is what you were brought in to do. Throw a forward pass. I just have questions about where we go from here. Because if I am questioning what you're saying, best believe I would think that the players are questioning what you're saying. And this is the problem, because I appreciate Hugh Freeze prioritizing recruiting because the previous coach didn't do that. So I can appreciate you prioritizing recruiting. But here's the problem, Hugh. If you're mismanaging the guys that you have here now, the guys that do stay will be your leaders next year. Meaning your recruits are looking to them for leadership. And if you mismanage them, how can we trust that you're going to manage Walker White correctly?
You're talking good, sir.
You're going to manage Perry Thompson correctly. How can we trust that you're going to manage all these guys that you're bringing in and touting? We're upgrading the talent, but you're mismanaging the guys you have here who you're going to need to lead them next year.
You preaching better than they saying amen. That's all I gotta say.
It is Sunday.
I got questions. I hope next week we get some answers.
Yeah, that was a beautiful. That was a poetic ending to this. I got questions. Hopefully, we get some answers. I would like to add on to that. Forgive me. Ike went off
come on,
last night.
Deacon.
I reserved myself last night, but I don't want to hear shit from the Mike G, you've been so negative crowd, because most of those people last night were on my Twitter saying, what in the heck? And it was funny. Like, we want to speak truths on the show. We are a fan channel, so we try to be positive where we can and get the positive side of things. But at some point, you just got to call a spade a spade. You know, I will credit my co-hosts here, my co-show hosts here, for holding that positivity for this staff a little longer than I did. You know, I got off the train after Texas A&M. It looked, the things that. Okay, so let me take you guys back to last year, guys. Bear with me for just a second. Give me just like
do we have to
2 minutes? Give me 2 minutes to explain this, right? Right. Now, last year was bad. It was bad, but around LSU, between Missouri and LSU, there was at least an admission by the staff that the direction they thought they would take the offense to start the season was not the right direction. Right? There was an extreme pivot, and it looked different on the field at LSU. What fans have been patiently waiting on is for that pivot. Week in and week out, it has looked the same. Now, this is the third straight game where my sources have told me that they have gone into the week with one plan and then on game day abandoned most of what they practiced. This was stuff that used to happen under Gus. Anthony Schwartz Anthony Schwartz is in front of NFL scouts and they're like, you don't know how to run any of these routes. And he's like, oh yeah, we know how to run them. We just never did it in games. That's why it's not on tape. But we did it in practice all the time. And I just have questions. Now, look, I'm tired of people, but I know that parents watch this show, so I want to be very, very clear. I have always been and always will be pro player. Am I biased? Hell yeah, I am. Because the millionaires should own the bulk of the responsibility for why the system looks the way it does. Right? I don't care which you think comes first, the chicken or the egg. Something comes first. And it's what you're asking the kids to do first and foremost. And it has, I think last night was the first time that you could not go out and say, well, I don't know. I did say this. He did say that he felt like, hey, man, those things could have been executed better. But the personnel decisions fall on you. If you have, look, man, as all of us have been leaders at some point in our professional career before we started doing the war report, some of us still are. And in any normal workplace, when you have people who work under you who are underperforming, you either make a decision about them or the people who you report to will make a decision about you.
Right.
That's it. Last night, it's been widely reported. So, Dylan brought it up last night. Keontae Scott tweeted out 9. Inexplicably, we had people on the beat saying, oh, that was in support of Eugene Asante. Give me a break. Are you carrying water for this staff like that? That you're trying to divert? That was not about that. There was one dude that wears 9 that was about. I have questions about this locker room, and I have questions about what the end goal here is. Now, I have asked the question publicly in pressers, and I'm not afraid to ask it again. What is the point to talk consistently talking about how you need guys when you are coaching games now? How does that further your cause this year? Because if I had 1 year left to play and I chose to play on this team and this coach is making these decisions, that's crap. You owed it to the kids who only had 1 year of eligibility left to put your best foot forward this year. If this was my last year of college football, guys, if I had 1 year left to get some tape and I was a receiver, I'm Shane Hooks, I'm these guys. Now, they have to hold up their end of the bargain, but they can't catch passes from themselves. My last point is about the personnel changes right now feel like sabotage. I don't even know what to make of it. You got momentum going, and again, in an SEC game, we see you switch quarterbacks. Other beat writers have asked, hey, man, if you're trying to get one guy settled, does the rotation kind of like the antithesis of that?
And you know you're going to lose this game. Why not just see it through?
Why not just not see what the dude has for the rest of the game? Dude, listen, look, how many games has Alabama lost this year? Anybody know what Alabama's record is? 6-1, 7-1, right?
Yeah. 6-1.
That dude has already switched quarterbacks for an entire game. That guy has already switched starters. Just to see if the other dude, because it wasn't looking and it wasn't up to the standards. The leash here is something I don't understand. I was okay with him starting. Going into this, I was okay with him starting the game. I was, because a lot of folks felt like what we saw against Georgia was a step forward. I wasn't there, but I was like, okay, I can see it. What I have a problem with is after we came out of the half, I tweeted out, if we have any success moving the ball offense, I would imagine Thorne would be done for the day, and they're probably going to stick with Ashford just to see what he has, because it's pretty clear you're not going to win this game. Yet they pulled it to within 2 scores, 10 points, and then you self-sabotage. What? Explain to me on any level how that makes sense. And I don't, people are going to tweet, easy to say that from the couch. Yes, it is quite easy to say that. I saw a myriad of bad coaching decisions yesterday. I saw Dan Lanning go for it like 4 times on 4th down, when 1 field goal would have secured him the biggest win in his tenure at Oregon. Coaches are paid to make decisions. Explain this decision-making to me, guys, because it felt like that was a layup. Again, we're not talking about wins and losses in year 1. So for anybody listening to this, this is not about wins and losses, guys. This is about how you play the game. That's a movie quote. I don't remember which movie. But like how you play the game, how you're losing it. And right now, objectively, again, the last time Auburn was on pace to be this statistically bad, they fired the coach. 2012. They had 3,660 yards of total offense. Auburn is on pace to match that total if the SEC averages hold from now until the end of the season. That's good for bottom 10 in the FBS offensively. Again, wins and losses are one thing, but worst 10 in all of college football? Wow. Wow. Explain that to me.
In the modern era of offense, Auburn is averaging 14 points on the road this year.
That's crazy.
I don't care what we do at home.
That's crazy.
I don't care what we
Yikes,
do.
man.
I get it. It was Georgia. It was Georgia. Cool. But we're averaging 14 points on the road.
Okay, I'll take you back again. When you have this, when you have scheme and decision making issues, you play down the competition. So a lot of you guys felt like, hey, if they can run the ball on Georgia, they can run on anybody. And I'm like, in theory, that should be true. But when you find ways to self-sabotage, you play down to the competition. And that's exactly what they're doing. But that's not a talent issue, that's a coaching issue. These guys, I mean, to start the game, after the first 2 drives, I was like, I don't have any words for this. You had 2 weeks to prepare. And that's what you put out there? Yikes, man. I'll end by just saying this. I would expect at the end of the season, if I were a receiver and I had eligibility left and a free transfer, I'm out of here. I would not waste another year of eligibility under this. And he may pull it together and he may get it headed the right direction, sure. But going into this offseason, like if you're expecting some crazy recruiting class to come in and rescue this, I would temper your expectations on that. Because you brought in about 50% of your roster from the portal and from high school this year.
Right.
And this is what you're doing with these kids. Now you want me to believe that you're going to take more kids. Now, if you're going to recruit dudes all over the place and have a top 5 recruiting class, sure. If you're going to get a once-in-a-generation quarterback to come through here, great. You know what happens, though, when it's decisions and not the kids? You get right up to the door, and then you Dan landing it. Bo was playing great. They were moving the ball. All he had to do was make the easy decision to kick field goals, and they beat Washington. Washington's even had a chance to come back at the end of the game. But they didn't make the right decisions, and they had all the pieces in place. That coach came out and said, guys, that was 100% on me. I played myself. He didn't blame the kids. He didn't say, hey, man, we need a couple more guys at this position. We could survive my dumb decisions. Because some dumb decisions were made yesterday. And that's all I want. That's all I would want to hear if I were a fan on Monday. I didn't have this team prepared. I don't hear shit about execution, this player, that player. We did not have a good game plan, and I did not have the team prepared because of the way you lost.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Worst defense in the SEC by a long shot. And that's what you put on the field offensively against them? Yikes, man. I don't get it. All right, what do we got? We got something else to talk about?
Oh, hey, I can be. Any thoughts? Any thoughts today about this? Just anything that we haven't said?
We're gonna get 9 trending on social media.
Listen, man, I think I said everything that I wanted to say about this last night.
Yeah, please go watch that.
I'm going to more calmly say this. First and foremost, no amount of frustration that I have could begin to equate to the amount of frustration those young men on the team have, because they don't want to go out there looking like this.
Right.
They don't feel as if what they're putting on the field is representative of the talent level that they have. And I can't imagine that they feel they're being put in the optimal position to display that talent. So I want to say first and foremost to all the players and parents that watch this show, I get it. You're frustrated. I'm going to make a plea to you as a fan. And this could mean absolutely nothing to you. Don't give up on your season because it's not looking good right now. There's still a lot of football left to be played in this season. Find a way to go out there and make it work, and at least give 100% effort from now until the end of this, because at the end of the day, if you're out there on the field, that's what you're going to be judged by, is your tape. They're not going to look and say, well, I don't know if the coach put you in the optimal positions. We've heard this from guys that were at Auburn before. Their stock was plummeting out there because the tape didn't prove anything. You could say, yeah, I know how to run all these routes. They just never let me. That doesn't really matter. Your stock plummets anyway. So unless you're a combine freak athlete, they're not going to look past that. So at least let your effort be out there on the field. That's all I'm asking from you guys. And again, that's a selfish request from a fan that just wants to see our team go out there and look better on Saturdays. I know that's a selfish request. I'm asking you to put your body on the line for my satisfaction. I get that. But I'm still going to ask because I'd like to see that for you and your collegiate future, whether you decide to stay at Auburn or not. That's up to you and your decisions after this season.
B.
Without, I'm not done. I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
What I will say furthermore, for if a coach happens to watch this show and you see us get on here upset as fans, making all of these statements about what we feel like is a subpar product based upon the talent level that's here at Auburn. I don't, again, and I said this on Twitter today, both you, Mike, and Caesar have said this. The record that we have is not the frustrating thing.
No,
I'm not frustrated at 3-3 because 3-3 wasn't a possibility based upon what our first 6 games were. I'm frustrated in we have not seemed to prepare these young men to perform at a level that is commensurate. Yes, I did use another big word, with the level of the talent that they have, regardless of whether or not you feel as if their talent level is equal to or better than the opposition that they have not been placed in a position to be able to optimize the talent that they do have. And I don't understand that. So this is my plea to the coaches. I get it that they can't do the things that you've been asking them to do since the fall camp, spring, whatever it is. I get that. You don't have the guys to execute that. Can we figure out something that works for these young men so that they can go out there and put competent football on the field? Can we do that? Can we, if you don't feel that they're capable of executing the things that you're asking them to do, ask them to do different things? Because that's what during the bye week we said we were going to do. If I'm not mistaken, I'll take a page out of what you said, see. Coach Hugh Freeze got in a press conference and said, if this guy can't do that, then we're going to stop asking him to do it. You said that made a lot of sense to you. And I said, you're darn right that makes sense. Let's do that. Let's change what we're asking them to do and do things that make more sense for their skill set. I'd love to see us do that for 4 quarters of football for every game remaining this season. And lastly, to the fans out there who somehow are upset with us for saying what is blatantly obvious, grow up. Grow up and stop pretending as if me saying what's blatantly obvious is somehow damning to the program that's putting the bad product on the field. How is it that you're coming to me after reviewing a bad product and you're saying you're the problem? It ain't my fault. I didn't play a single down of football. I didn't coach a single practice. I didn't call a single play. I didn't decide who goes in and out of the game. I am not responsible for Gus Malzahn being fired and having an inept football program. I am not responsible for Bo Nix deciding to transfer after playing mediocre here for multiple seasons and damaging his prospects and going out there, by all means, taking his flyer and go to Oregon and play well. That's not my fault because I pointed out that it happened. It is not my fault that Brian Harsin came in here and decided he didn't want to recruit people. It is not my fault that Alan Green decided in a hot tub somewhere that he wanted to go make his coaching decision. It is not my fault that Coach Hugh Freeze is currently here and went to the transfer portal and got a quarterback from Michigan State who was mediocre there and has come here and continued to be mediocre. It is not my fault that they went out and decided, even in the midst of his mediocrity, to continue to play him down after down, in the midst of the backup quarterback going in there and performing admirably. It is not my fault that the defense gets worn out consistently because we can't keep drives on the field. It's not my fault we can't kick the ball into the end zone consistently. It is not my fault just because I pointed out. You can't blame me for that. And if you want to sit here and second guess my opinion about something, you're welcome to do that. But don't come on here and tell me that I somehow am responsible for it. That's silliness. Watch something else. I don't care. But I'm not going to stop saying my opinion about things just because somehow you've decided that I am not allowed to voice that opinion, even though that opinion is substantiated by the things that actually happened. I didn't make it up. I didn't make up the completion percentages. I didn't make up the ineptitude on offense. I didn't make up any of the things that have happened in the decisions that have been made with this football program. I just said it. That's not my fault. Grow up. Or find something else to do with your life.
In my head, I can't. You remember that song? It ain't my fault.
Yeah, Darby pointed it out.
Yeah. Did I do that? No, this is definitely not his fault. This was part of what I was holding back last night. Like I said, I think Ike made a good point. If you're a fan and you feel this way, imagine how those kids feel in that locker room after that, right? Like feeling like they didn't get a chance to put their best foot forward. There are some great kids. Auburn football has some great kids. Yep. There are some phenomenal young men on this team, and I think they deserve better than what we're watching. I do. And I do hold them responsible. I'm tired of fans.
Let me say this because people are saying this. I'm not saying fire Coach Hugh Freeze. That's not that. If you heard that in everything that I'm saying, I'm not saying fire the coach. I'm not saying I'm out on him. I'm saying this ain't it though.
Right. Yeah.
There's some change.
And listen, and I preface what I said by alluding to the fact that two of us wanted Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
So we're not leading the charge, the brigade, to fire the man. I'm not even taking personal shots. What I'm saying is I can objectively say to the coach that I wanted here, you got to do better and fast.
It's gonna be interesting to see because at this point you're when you're rebuilding a program, year one to me should be about kind of like laying a foundation. To me, this year now, if it does not improve substantially between now and the end in December, sets you back another year. Hear me out, guys. Like, this isn't going to be magically better. I mean, this lowers your floor and then puts your ceiling for next year much lower than it should have been. There was a question asked of Hugh Freeze in a presser about turning programs around and if he was aware that Kirby Smart had Georgia in the national championship by year 2. Nick Saban was in the championship by year 2.
3.
08?
Yeah. Year two, they lost to Florida. Florida went to the national championship in year 2. They lost an SEC championship.
Yeah, because he came in 07.
I just watched the Florida documentary.
Okay, fair enough. Right. So year 3, they made it. He fixed his talent issue pretty quickly. He did.
That is
not one time in all of 07 and losing to UL Monroe did I hear Nick Saban say, we don't have guys. Find me the soundbite of Nick Saban during that season saying, we got to recruit better while he was coaching games.
He went all the way to Pearl Harbor, but he did not bash his kids.
He did not throw his kids. That's right. That's right. I forgot about the Pearl Harbor
he went
comment.
all the way to Pearl Harbor, but he didn't touch those kids.
He made an all-time bad comment to the media, but he didn't touch his players.
Yeah.
Because how is that going to motivate them to play for you?
Right.
That's funny.
That's why he takes like all the way back to a great American tragedy where he didn't touch his players. Yikes, man. That's wild. right? And so I would just encourage anybody to find me a clip of a coach talking about players in this way in year one. Now you can say, hey, we need to execute better. I think it's fair to critique what players do in game. But saying you don't have the talent, right? I think it's okay even to acknowledge that the other team is loaded with talent. Georgia's a talented team. I think every time you play them, you should give them those props. Don't give them any bulletin board material, certainly. Don't say the opposite. But yeah, that this is part of the learning curve, I think, that exists with coaches sometimes. And hopefully he's still in a place in his life where he could maybe hear somebody, hopefully somebody close to him is telling him this. I pray to God there are not a bunch of yes men around him that are going to say, you're right, coach. We just got to blah, blah, blah. We just need a guy here. No. Coach, we got to make some changes. And you need to hear this. Right. If you're the president of anything or the CEO of everything, you can't do all the things the people under you can do. But I think the best leaders have good advisors around them. And they know how to defer and listen to them when need be. And I can only pray that that's what happens here between now and the end of the season. I feel comfortable saying this now, but I know within Harson's staff, there was a struggle with that offense in those first few games. And somebody close to him, who will remain unnamed, went to him and said, Coach, this ain't it. His downfall was that he did not listen to that person earlier. He didn't hear it until it was too late, but he did hear it. And they tried, but it was too late. Now, it is not too late for Hugh Freeze. Number one, because Auburn wanted him. They didn't want Harsin. Right. They wanted him. So he already has an extra 12 months that Harsin didn't have to try to turn this around. But I would not wait until the end of the season to do that. Start next week versus Ole Miss. It is never too late to do stuff now. Do it right now. And they don't have to go out and beat Ole Miss. It just has to look substantially different, better, and put the players in a better position, man. There's a way to get the most out of the guys that you have. And I'm not sure they're doing that. Now, I don't like people saying everybody's not capable on this team. One thing I see a lot on social media is we don't have one guy that will go to another SEC school and start right now. If we don't, that's probably because of poor development up until now. But if they had gone into those programs, they might be those dudes.
I mean, it's not true either way, though. So whatever.
Right. So to me, it's kind of like, I don't know about that. The system matters. What you're asking them to do matters. Leadership matters first and foremost. Leaders look at themselves first.
Yeah.
Right. And they look at the people under them second. That's it. Check yourself, and then let's move
on. Before I get to these supers, I know we have talked a lot. You got anything, man?
Man, y'all really spoke for me, man. I felt like, you know what I'm saying? you ever like put on the song, rap song, you feeling at the moment. If you get your heart broke, R&B song, like it don't matter. And it's just exactly what you feeling. It's really good to see this from UC. Like that's what really made it hit home. It's like, yeah, come on home, see. I want to see that disappointment. It feels good to hear that cover for you, man. Because I know you try to be positive and diplomatic about, you know what I'm saying. No. I'm glad to hear that from you. But I'll say this. I don't have to say too much. I like when I started trying to sports bet. It was like, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. So theoretically, if I had placed sports bets, all right, y'all understand me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I made the mistake I won my very first season of sports betting. I won, theoretically. Mm-hmm. These practice sports bets where no real money was bet. Y'all understand me? Mm-hmm. That was the worst thing that could have happened to me. Because I quickly lost because I was just running off pure gut. Like I was just betting. And then from that point, I did some losing. All right. Because I thought, well, what if our bet's going to hit? Because I got it. I got the juice. It's going. And then I did some losing. And I was like, man, hold up. I just had it. What happened? From that moment, I started playing really, really tight, overthinking decisions. Well, no. This team was just good, so I'm going to stick with them and I'm going to ride this out. And something that I learned over the next 2 years, because my 2 years after that, I just put some money in at the beginning of the football season, let it ride, see how it go. My next 2 years were not as kind to me. The thing that I learned in those 2 years of mostly losses was you do have to go with your gut. You need a strategy. You need to understand what your approach is, but you also have to go with your gut. Don't refuse what's right in front of your face. Like when you see what you're seeing, just believe it. Like this is what's happening. There were times where I would go in where like going, oh man, they can probably do it. But I don't know. What did their last game look like? Their stats weren't as good as I would hope. And so I don't do it. And then I go through a whole day of betting, looking at my phone. It's like, well, the thing I bailed out on, that hit. That was the end of me being tentative about making decisions based on what I knew in my gut, but also what I saw right in front of my face. Don't second guess it. You're going to be who you are. I think the worst thing that you could ever do, maybe for anybody in any decision, is not going with what your gut or your heart told you and then realizing later that was a mistake. Because then you got a bunch of what ifs. Man, what? I knew it. I had that. That would have been my moment. And the reason I'm telling you that is when I see a quarterback look bad, I'm out. I'm not waiting around for you to get better. I'm not waiting around for you. Maybe we'll go. Nope, out. Next. I watched you lose me games. Matter of fact, let's think back to the last 4 years of Auburn football, counting this year. So 4.5 years. Go back all the way back to 2019. How many games did a quarterback play badly and then recover to win us a game? How many games can any of you here, chat, remember?
Going back when?
Badly.
I mean, I guess you could technically say the Cal game he played badly. Peyton Thorne did and recovered and won the game. You could technically say that.
Yeah, because he made the passes at the end.
Yeah,
he made some passes at the end,
and he definitely played poorly at the beginning of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he did. So maybe Cal. I also question why we didn't run the ball more against Cal. So that may have been equal parts game playing on y'all, to y'all's point. They're very rarely the case when Bo Nix played bad in South Carolina, at Florida his freshman year, at LSU his freshman year. We lost. We didn't have anybody ready in the tank. They didn't pull him. We lost. The one time they pulled a bad performing quarterback, Georgia State, we won. I don't like to wait around and wait for a bad situation to get worse. And I'm very surprised that coaches do, because it's been across multiple coaches. Gus wouldn't pull him. Harsin pulled him once and it worked, but later Harsin wouldn't pull a guy unless it's just going off. And now Hugh Freeze, I mean, he obviously will pull Thorne out, but he won't make that final decision. I am not going to ignore what I see. It was pretty obvious to me. You can't play for 2 years plus all this starting, all this winning, and come down here and look like this. You ain't it. I don't know what goes on in locker rooms. I don't know what goes on in practice. I don't know the finer points of quarterback play that Peyton Thorne must have absorbed from his dad and his granddad, this lineage of coaches. I don't know. All I know is that it's not working. And I wonder why much better football minds, like when you put this guy to the test right here and you say, all right, this is the look. Where are you going with the ball? Does he tell you the right thing? Okay. If he doesn't tell you those right things when you're testing him, then obviously he's not the guy. If he can answer correctly and not do it in the game, obviously he's not the guy. Because the alternative now is we have a historically bad defense, not 2012 bad. 2012 bad. 2012 football was different than 2023 football. In 2023 football, this
historically bad offense, you meant.
Yes, I'm sorry. Historically bad offense. 2023 football, as offenses are wide open and you can get more penalties for touching the quarterback. This is a different level of incompetence right here. So I'm still left befuddled at how you can stick with the guy and not make a switch, because the alternative to this point would have been what? 3-3, except now maybe Robbie Ashford or Holden Garner, because again, he wasn't like he was miles behind in camp. Whoever you decide to stick with, that is better than the guy who you chose to be the starter, because you didn't even say he was the best guy in camp. Like,
Right.
you didn't think he was the best player in camp.
Well, he never said it out loud. If he did, right? He never said Peyton Thorne. He said he gave him the job because he wanted him to stop pressing, which tells me they made up their minds be to play him almost regardless of what happened.
To B's point, you're saying he's pressing, which means he's not playing well.
And not playing well, right? Yeah. So it was. I don't know. Like again, when I tweeted out the quarterback ranking, so to speak, it was about how they were playing in camp and not how I thought that the race would finish. But there were a lot of reports that Holden was playing really good ball. Robbie still has his things to work on, but there were times where a lot of onlookers felt like he won camp, and that people went back and forth between the two, which is why I had a few more people tell me that Holden had played the best, which is why I put him at the top, and Thorne was third, because literally the feedback on him was either non-existent or it was not good. But you went this direction. Here's the fundamental issue with NIL, guys. I know we got to get to the break. The money that's technically the investment cannot influence the decisions to play certain players. I'm sorry, it just can't. And I can't help but wonder, given what we know internally about some of the numbers that have been flying around, whether that is a factor in this. If you went out and you said, I want Peyton Thorne does what he's supposed to do, right? His people, they probably leveraged that, knowing that you need a quarterback, seeing where other guys are going, and say, this is what it takes me to get me here. And theoretically speaking, let's say it was a couple $100,000 and somebody forked over that money and then you don't play him.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that doesn't sit well with those people. Wait, what did I give you all this money for? If he's not going to play. Now, ultimately, if it were me, if it were my dollars, I personally, if he's not playing well, would not care if you make the switch. Hey, I know I gave you all this money, but I gave it to you because I want to see the team win.
Right.
Right? It is, investments are gambles. You are gambling that the thing that you're investing in is going to pay off. Not every investment pays off. If you've ever invested money or actually gambled, you know that. Right? The people who lose at investing hold on to bad investments. They don't cut their losses. They don't say, you know what? I'm going to stop the bleeding for tonight. I'm done tonight.
They usually double down.
I'm not going to chase one bad decision after another. Right? I mean, Brian and I we're gambling war report, me and Brian. Right? So he understands this, right? If you sit down at a blackjack table and you lose 5 hands in a row, what have you seen so many people do? Bet it all on the 6th hand to try to win it all back at one time. And then go broke. Rather than saying, you know what, tonight's not my night.
Yep.
Just gonna turn it in.
Get up.
You see it all the time. Now, at sports betting, it's the same thing. Man, I was so close on that Oregon bet. I bet Oregon on the money line, and if Dan Lanning wasn't a dummy, I won. You justify the decision you made because it should have worked out. And then instead of making a course correct, you double down. And that bad thing keeps on happening until you're broke. All I'm saying is, Hugh, don't let the bad thing keep happening until you're broke.
Or fired, because he won't be broke.
Yeah, right. Yeah, figuratively broke. Right? Cut your losses when you can, make the pivot, because that is what the people who are successful at making investments into things and people do. They understand when they've made a bad decision and they make the necessary pivot, right, to cut their losses and then start anew and lay a new foundation. Right? We see it happen at the pro level all the time. How many times? Look, they instituted a rookie wage scale in the NFL just for this reason, because GMs were making insane bets on unproven rookies. Sam Bradford got a $75 million contract. some GM looked at Sam Bradford and said, you know what? 50 mil guaranteed. Can't miss. Right? And then the next year, when Cam got drafted, they were like, you know what? Let's not let teams do that anymore. Right? Cam was the number one pick, and his contract was only like 22 or 23 mil.
Yeah.
The Panthers guaranteed the entire thing, but nobody got more than Cam on their rookie contract because the number one pick sets the scale. But they understood if left to their own devices, these GMs will make bad decisions that trickle down to everybody else in the rest of the league. What does that mean? It means if you are a veteran free agent, there's no money left for me, the guy who's proven I can do it, because you spent it all on Sam damn Bradford. And there's a salary cap. So they had to help them out of their own bad decisions with the rookie wage scale. Now you have NIL, and it's not an unlimited pot of money, but as long as they have belief in you, they'll find the money to get the guys that you want.
Right.
And if this is what we're going to do, man, put a salary cap in. Right? And the commissioner needs to be overseeing these deals. And somebody would be like, what? You want to pay what? For who? For Payne Thorne? No. We can't let you do that. Let's limit the investment here or find somebody else.
Nah, dog.
Right. So that you're not stuck having to play the guy because of the investment. These are pro problems. Right? I'm just saying. These are pro problems. This is what happens involved. We wanted players to get paid so bad. Nobody considered the effect that it would have on the mismanagement side of the money in college football.
Well, to be fair now, what we wanted was the universities to split some of that college contract, coach contract money and all these resources you pour in there because they're making the universities money. But fortunately for the universities, they kind of sidestepped that bullet and let it go down to the fan base and companies and businesses to fund the players getting paid. This is not the original vision. This just made sense because a kid missing games for signing autographs for his name sounded that's ridiculous.
Right.
That's ridiculous. So, okay, let's start that. But of course, the arms race was going to end up trying to find a way to get kids as much money as possible. It should have been top down from the universities to these players, and it should be open, transparent, flat rates, and all that stuff. That's what it should have been.
Yeah.
Hey, guy, I'm gonna put a pin here. We do got to get to the break. Listen, guys, you've heard us wax poetically. Share this content with your other fellow Auburn fans. Hit the like button. Subscribe.
We're going to get crucified on the message boards all week. I just already know it. I'm waiting to hear the crucifixion stories come back out from the message boards.
I'm okay with it.
I am
okay
too.
with it
I know it's going to happen though.
Bring it on.
Do
all right,
your
guys.
work.
All right, y'all. Let's pause and acknowledge our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. When you work out, grill out, and chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com. auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to auburnsports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, head over to gwt2energy.com.
Thank you to the sponsors of the War Report. Thank you to those of you who have become members of the War Report. If you'd like to get in on all the membership benefits, make sure you go ahead and click that join button right now. $5.99 per month. Not a lot of money, but it definitely, I feel like it's a good value for what you're getting. We're giving you some great content behind that paywall, and we appreciate everybody who's doing that. If you'd like to gift a membership, you can do that right now from the live chat. In just a little bit, we'll be doing a giveaway. Hashtag get your weight up in the live chat to be a part of that. And a special shout out to Lynch Toyota of Auburn, who is currently sponsoring the War Report. Head to Lynch Toyota of Auburn.com to be able to get some of the best customer service out there in terms of being able to find a new vehicle. If you want a new Toyota, or maybe you want to look at some certified pre-owned vehicles that they have in other types, you can go there to do that. You need to get your vehicle serviced, you can go there for that. Lynch Toyota of Auburn has been long-standing in the community. If you're in the area, make sure you shop with them, or you can shop online from wherever you are. Lynch Toyota of Auburn.com. Special shout out to the other guys on the network as well. Podcast Network is out there doing work. the College Loop and Up Tempo they will have takes, and you will want to hear those takes. I'm sure of it.
I already know my boy Dustin gonna get some heat off.
Dustin, he has been frustrated over there with the Up Tempo podcast. He is definitely gonna have a take for y'all that you're gonna want to listen to, and you know for a fact that the victory lap happening over at the College Loop is
Feeling this over here.
Yeah.
Pumping his chest.
Yeah.
I told y'all Robbie Ashford for president. 2020.
So definitely tune into those guys over there, and we appreciate them.
Oh man, listen, let me grab to some supers, guys. We appreciate you being patient with us. JT Martin says, I don't think I can watch the film this week. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that one. But we got to do it. JT comes back and says, where do I pay my tithes? Because C-Dub was preaching. Appreciate you there, sir. Lawrence says, not going to lie, Cadillac need to take over recruiting, and Hugh may need to put all his hands on the playbook.
So I actually think this makes a ton of sense. Like, I think he wants to be heavy-handed in the recruiting thing. I think he might need to reverse it and let someone else on his staff handle recruiting primarily, and he just kind of step in as a closer. And he focused on game planning and offensive coordinating. I think this makes a ton of sense.
Jordan Martin says, PT, Peyton Thorne can know everyone's face and name, watch all the film, know the offense the best. But if none of that translates to game day, then why is he still QB1?
Yeah, just try something else at this point. Yeah, I mean,
nice avatar, by the way. I like that photo. You and Bruce there. Jeff Lambert says,
It's a long one.
Yeah. The one north-south pass was thrown by none other than the scrambling QB, Robbie Ashford, who only played less than a dozen snaps. Like, y'all, I got questions and no answers are forthcoming. We don't improve from game to game to save the end of the season. When our temporary interim head coach showed the fans what is possible with the same players. I truly wonder what our season would look like today with Caddy as the head coach. I feel confident it would at the very least be the same or likely better than what it is now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the offense definitely looked better over the last 4 games of last season than it does over the first 6 of this season.
That's unfortunate, considering who we hired. JJ, our guy here, Robbie is handling the situation with poise. He was too emotional last year. He is growing up and has more than earned a chance to start. Period.
I watched him on the sideline during this one, and he looked engaged, and he had his head up, and he just was waiting on them to call on him the whole game. That was it. That's all you can do if you're him. So yeah, I would agree. Unless something was caught off camera that we didn't see, when they panned to him, he looked engaged, and that's what you have to do if you're him.
Yeah, I like his energy. I like the energy he's been bringing all season on the sideline. So kudos to him. And I get it. You know, we're the Robbie apologists, so of course we're gonna like things that Robbie did. But
yeah,
I challenge you, conversely, to tell me a thing that you don't like that Robbie Ashford has done so far this season. Absent of one pass in one game that was almost an interception, he hasn't done anything bad. So
he hasn't had a chance to.
Yeah, he only had 18 pass attempts.
I'm saying, but he's made the most. He's made.
But I'm saying he's not. You can't get mad at Robbie this year because it's like.
I mean, no, you can, because he's not the answer apparently. Because you know, when he gets in the game, teams are gonna know he's gonna run, and somebody actually, we could look at this. It's there. They do keep statistics on this sort of thing. How many negative rush yards did Robbie Ashford have last night? You don't have to answer that right now. I just want to posit that to people who continually tell me if Robbie gets in the game, they know he's going to be running the ball, so he's not going to see the same looks. How many negative rush plays did Robbie Ashford have last night? Go and look it up, do your own research in your own time, and then come back and we'll talk about how defenses, they know he's going to get in there and he's going to run, so they're going to be able to stop it. Go do your own research, come back, and then we can rehab this conversation about that.
Yeah, he was the highest graded offensive player from last night.
I'm just saying, do your own research. Don't let me sell you on something that I'm telling you happened. Go look at the statistics from the things that you said would happen when he got in and he was going to run the ball, and tell me how often that resulted in negative plays. I'm not talking about sacks. I'm talking about everybody knows he's running the ball, so when he gets in the game, it's not going to work. Go show me on the statistics where that's correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Coach C4 says, I've been saying take the leash off Robbie and let him cook. Feel like we wasted time losing winnable games trying to babysit.
8 weeks. 2 weeks in the fall camp. I'm going to
Mhm.
name Peyton Thorne the starter to help settle him down. Translated, he wasn't as good as I thought he was going to be, but if I name him the starter, maybe he'll be as good as I thought he was going to be. 8 weeks later, he may be worse. The end. Wasted a bye week.
Yeah. Christian Crawford says, I would really like to move on from Hugh Freeze after this year. Truthfully, Hugh Freeze is not going to get better. 3 years is too long to fire him.
Yeah, we're going to run out of buyout money, so this is why this isn't going to happen. Yeah, right. Like,
Yeah, I just, I'm not on fire the coach after 1 year.
yeah.
So
Two things can be true at one time. You can be both frustrated and in support of him doing better. Because here's what happens. You know, Travis Williams' wife is a friend of the show, right? And she's a coach's wife now. But I remember her talking to me one time about how, like, she said, Mike, when a coach gets fired, he gets a huge buyout and he's going to be all right, right? But there are upwards of 60 families that get displaced every time a coach gets fired. It's not just the coach, right? Yeah. And then you have the kids and, like, you know, they've got to make decisions about there's a lot of other people who are not going to be okay if Hugh Freeze doesn't do well, which is why I would never root against him. Once he's in the job, right, you find a way. We did the same for Harsin. You find hey, man, find a way to make it work, because if you don't make it work, somebody's dream is going to be smashed that you were charged with managing. And I think that should be the message to fans, right? Like, support him, because whether you like him or not, it's more than just him. Right.
Listen, man, Florida State fans, if they had their way after year one, they wouldn't have Norvell anymore.
If they had their way after year two.
Yeah. Look at what he's doing now, right? Yeah. Like, so, I mean, but you could say in a lot of ways, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, there were some positive signs I remember from his first couple of years before they broke through. And I would just challenge anybody offensively. What is the positive so far through 6 games? Like, what is the positive? What is the thing you're saying, you know what, at least they're doing this through 6 games?
We've run the ball decently, but that's about it.
Yeah, but Peyton Thorne is your leading rusher, so
I mean, still rushing yards. I would argue do that same thing with a better runner, and it would look a lot better. But,
for sure, yeah. But you don't have him in the game. So if your teams, to me, that plays right into what I want. He may be able to break it sometimes, but I seriously worry about him as a game. Yeah, I could live with Peyton Thorne being your leading rusher.
Right. Alan Berry, appreciate the super sticker. War Eagle 42. People jumping ship from Hugh Freeze are delusional. It's halfway through year one. Let's relax. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying jump ship, but at the same time, you can hold the offensive guy accountable for his offense being offensive.
Yeah, I disagree with the relax part. I will not relax respectfully. No, not when it's actively headed the wrong direction. Right. Like, and that is the point. It's not about wins and losses. It's about how it looks when you lose.
Correct.
Again, this is objectively worse than last year's offense under both coaches. And it is on track to be one of the worst offenses Auburn has had since 2000. That includes 2012 and 2008, which were awful. Awful years. Both losing seasons where Auburn did not make a bowl game. That's what this is on track for.
Ike, you want to go ahead and do the giveaway and we get back to these supers?
Sure.
Giving away a mug courtesy of GWC2 Energy Consulting Services. Appreciate you, Walt, for being a sponsor of this particular segment. You already know, drop your hashtags, get your weight up. Maybe you can do it next time because Ike's drawing now.
Yep, I'm on it, baby. Let's do it. Somebody's got to win it. 84 people entered. Only one can leave with the mug. James
We already know you're here. Do you have a mug already, James? Let us know. feel like you may already have a mug. But if you don't, let us know in the comments. We'll be looking out for you. Alan Berry says, as an Alabama fan, I can empathize with any team that has issues with mismanaged QBs and inconsistent offensive identity.
Yeah, they went through the doldrums there for a little bit. Then they hired Nick Saban.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Just got better after that. Latanya Drake says at Mike G, I still vote for, I'm assuming it's the War Report to call plays. It was a
police.
Yeah, we're not calling police plays. It was a pleasure to meet you finally.
Yeah, definitely had a chance to meet a lot of you guys in real life. Always a pleasure. If you see me, come up and say hi. If you see I come up and say hi, we'll be probably at the remainder of the home games this season.
Cool. Thanks for supporting Latanya for sure. Greg Wheatley says, do you think Coach Hugh Freeze has lost the locker room?
That's hard to say. He's one switch away from guys being back energized. I mean, that's evident by their face. I actually saw somebody say in the chat, I just didn't star it, when the commentator on the live broadcast said, they made it a point to communicate better. So Peyton Thorne went over and talked to the wide receivers. Yeah, he was over there. They were like, I don't want to hear from you. What do I want to hear from you? You missing me. I'm just out here for cardio.
Yeah, that was a misread.
Like there's so much of what they talk about when they talk about things working and communication. Like, yeah, if I see Patrick Mahomes go talk to his wide receivers and offensive line, something constructive is happening. When you saw Tom Brady go talk to his wide receivers and offensive line, something constructive was happening. When you saw Peyton Manning or any other decent quality quarterback go talk to their wide receiver and offensive line, something good was happening. When I saw a player like what's his name? He ain't even playing no more because he was terrible, but he kept getting shots. Redhead was with the Eagles and then got traded.
Andy Dalton?
No, with the Eagles. And then he got hurt. What? And then they won the Super Bowl after he got hurt.
Oh, you're talking about
what can I think his name?
Yeah, help us out, chat, because Nick Foles came in, right?
Right.
And won the Super Bowl after he got hurt.
I forgot his name, and he really fell off.
Carson Wentz.
Thank you. Yeah. Like that, they tried to talk that too. Like, well, he just needs to go and talk. There's nothing to talk about, dude. You are trash. You are making us bad. You are making us be not good. We are better without you. But
we can talk about you being trash.
Some executive, some coach keeps putting you in this position to make us worse.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I, as a player, hate that. Like you talked about how the players have to feel, not only hearing, well, we got to go out there and execute, or we can't wait to get these other guys in here. I know that it is just common hat in football, because it's been this way forever, is you go and you do your job. It doesn't matter if you like it. It doesn't matter if it's going to work this play or the next play. You go and do your job. On top of things not being healthy in a certain place or a program and players having the right to leave, even if you aren't talking down to me, if I'm getting snaps, if you are putting the wrong player in position and that is hurting my ability to succeed, I take that personally too. I am not built to play football, because you are not going to have me out here. I'm running laps, you missing me. I'm running, you missing me. I'm running, and you finally throw it to me, but you throw it so far out that I am now susceptible to a hit, and now I get injured because you can't do your job. Players don't want that. What do we think that players want that? I hear so many people, whether it's Twitter or even sometimes the chat, saying, well, you just got to go out there and perform. For what? To get hurt? To not get film? To not get plays on film of me doing what I know I can do? To waste my eligibility? Because the coach putting the right quarterback in the game, it's not just wins and losses and stats. Everybody else's value is affected. Not only is that your draft status value, that's also your NIL value. Because, buddy, if they don't know your name, if you aren't making catches, if you aren't scoring touchdowns, NIL is going to be like, for what? Are people going to show up for a signing for you? They don't even know if you can catch the ball because your quarterback couldn't get you the ball. It affects everything. So has Hugh Freeze lost the locker room? The quarterback has lost the locker room. If Hugh Freeze doesn't make a change, I don't know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be in that locker
I would
room.
say I would say he's winning their trust right now. I would say that.
Yeah,
I don't know about
that's-
loss, but I wouldn't say he's making. I wouldn't say he's their favorite person.
If Hugh Freeze wants to cut something off, he could go to manscaped.com and use code rapport. They have the new handyman shaver over there at Manscaped. Use code rapport. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com when you use code rapport over there. I just, whatever.
Cut something off.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel that one.
You were feeling that one?
It was bold. Bold move, sir.
Thank you.
Very ballsy. So, Nina, welcome. Frankie Freeze says, I appreciate the super chat. I wish us fans could all get together outside practice facility to let these kids and coaches know we are still here for them. Wonder if that will spark something. War Eagle guys.
Listen, that's not a bad idea, man.
I like that.
If the fans go and do, some sort of support thing outside the facility one day, I think that the kids would appreciate that on the team.
For sure.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks for that, by the way. Cam, Ike sounded like Ray Lewis with that speech. What a speech. So, Nina, I think you grabbed the comment. Appreciate the super chat here. Comes back and says, I ain't mad at anything that has been said. It is all truth. I'm upset about the nonsense that continues to happen on the field. Yeah. Dustin, of Uptempo, appreciate you being with us. He says a recruiting class ranked 16th is not exactly help on the way. Offensive line recruiting is still garbage. Also, flipping the script. LOL. Yeah, okay.
Destin is over it, fam.
Destin is
right now. Hugh Freeze has on the ship. And to Dustin's point, he and we've talked about this in the chat. Fixing the wide receiver position, recruiting, which has been down for Auburn for several years. Again, mostly it started with Gus. The deficiency did, but that and the offensive line. All right, two key position groups that are you got to have. You're going to have a healthy offense and quarterback recruiting to a certain extent, of course, going back to Gus as well. We didn't have it. He's got his quarterback, and he definitely has the wide receiver talent, but that's only half of it. Somebody's got to block. We've been set at running back for a while. Somebody's got to block. Interior defensive line recruiting isn't going great quite yet either. There's still some work to do. So, to Dustin's point, yeah. It's not like everything is perfect because we got some big 5-star targets. We did. We got some help. Coming. Sure, that's not the entirety of the story. We need more. And I'm not quite where Ike and Mike and y'all were saying that we're going to lose recruits because of what's being seen on the field.
I didn't say that.
Oh, that was Mike. Mike was saying that. I don't know if recruits jump off the ship because none of this has anything to do with them yet. Well, at least I can see how they could think that.
I think there's a point. I think there's a fair point there because negative recruiting is a thing.
Right.
And if you're in it for some of these higher, again, we're not talking about guys who just happen to have a scholarship. We're talking about Perry Thompson. We're talking about these guys who heavily contested for. That actually can play a part if we continue down this bad.
Yeah, right. Like, listen, because these guys have not signed, so they're still being actively recruited, a lot of them by these other coaches, right? If I had a question for Hugh Freeze, hey, coach, right now, your offense is set to be one of the bottom 3 in the last 23 years. Are you worried about negative recruiting from other coaches saying, where's the proof of concept? Where have they shown they can even do a little what they have? What do you think he's going to do with your talent? Right? I would if I were another coach, I would caution a player against going to a program who's going to put it all on me. Come to my program where you can have all the numbers, but we got a quarterback who can get you the ball. You don't have to go up and fight for every ball. Right? We have a system that will scheme you open. You're going to make a bunch of great catches and you're going to go into the league because you have crazy numbers. Or you can go to Auburn where, again, everybody's going to say you can't catch because you didn't catch a pass backwards around the back over the head. Yeah, while contested, twisting in the air. Yeah, that's what we're doing here, right? They don't catch every crazy ball that's thrown, and then we're putting out videos saying, "Look, see, this quarterback would be better if they would just make all these crazy catches." What? Now I'm just going to go to the program where I don't have to make those catches every other play. You know, and I make this point, and you know, you guys go check the film review on this, or the watch the film. But the point is not that you're seeing a lot of fans when you watch the TV broadcast, you only see the throw he makes. What you don't see are the throws that are open that are not made.
That's the biggest thing.
That's the thing that the coaches have to go back and look at the all 22 to see, hey, was there a better throw to be made on this play? So it's easy to say, hey, like you're throwing all these low percentage throws and then getting mad at the receivers for not catching most of them when they are low percentage by definition. Yes, we expect them to go up and make some plays for the quarterback, but there again, something comes first, right? You have to make the right read first most of the time. I'll go back to the Cal game, right? The touchdown that Jay Fair had, guys. He made a great play. The ball was thrown a tiny bit behind. He reached back. You know, he used all his athleticism to catch that ball, and he got upfield. He made it look easy. Looked great. Fans were like, "Oh my God, great throw." Nah, it wasn't really, because Jarquez Hunter was wide open on a wheel route, and that was the right play to make, and it was the easier throw actually. All he had to do was lob that thing toward the pylon a little bit upfield, and Jarquez was going to catch an easy touchdown. But if you're consistently making the harder throw, then the percentages are not going to look great. You know, quarterbacks like Bo and Carson Beck and these guys who are like north of 73%, a majority of the throws that they're making, guys, are like behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you go back and look at their passing charts, they're not, they're at, you know, Bo's some of the crazy, like 80% right now. Mm-hmm. The averages dropped a little bit after the Oregon game. But if you look at his passing chart, he's throwing a lot of balls, Washington game, 5 yards or less. Almost 50% of the balls he throws are 5 yards or behind the line of scrimmage. Right? So they're giving him high percentage throws. And then when he has to go out and he needs a guy to make a play like he did, they're warmed up and ready to go. And those guys make those plays. It's like, oh, look, he has better receivers. Well, you know what? He's not asking them to do that every other play.
Yeah.
Right.
And the run game working. What was the Bucky, whatever his name was? Balling.
Yeah, man. Listen, it looked like an actual offense.
Yeah.
So, I don't. I mean, that's my point about about what they're asking the players to do. Mm-hmm. What they're asking him to do is significantly better than what he was asked to do while he was here. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to be the savior of that team.
And he doesn't have to be Michael Penix. Like, that's the thing. Michael Penix can do that. He has the arm and the accuracy to throw downfield consistently. Yeah. Him getting Dillingham at Oregon, best thing that could have happened to him, because he already knew what Bo could and couldn't do. Yeah. They didn't ask him to do stuff that he wasn't equipped to do. That's why he's had success. Now, they had the offensive line to support it. Mm-hmm. They have. Both years he's been there. We didn't, which is why so many coaches have had trouble finding offense here. It's part of it.
Yeah. It starts with what you're asking them to do. You get players in systems where they're asking them to do something reasonable and then use their transcendent athleticism every once in a while to make a play. You know, did you guys see, again, I'm using Bo as an example here, but he was scrambling to the right sideline, threw kind of back against his body, made a great, and the receiver went up and made a play. Everything about that was like play made by the quarterback, play made by the receiver. That's one of those off script things that you're just kind of like, all right, that's just playmakers making plays.
Right.
But the rest of the offense looked pretty routine. Right. Like stuff they practice all the time that they do pretty routinely. You know, I would challenge anybody to show me where even half of what's happening in the passing game looks routine. Like, you know, the slants that Thorne threw on that one drive, he completed 2. They went to it like 2 or 3 times in a row. Mm-hmm. Those were like, to me, those are like routine kind of timing things. And when they were thrown, the catches were made. I just wonder why they're not scheming more of that into the offense, where it's just like, you know, make a routine throw. Right? Because we're seeing from the film that guys are open, but if you're not seeing them to make the routine throw, or you're making the plays harder than they need to be, then something's got to give. Either you need to call it differently for the guy that you have in the game, or you need a different guy in the game. I don't care which one it is, as long as it looks better.
All right, guys, let's run through these supers so we can get to what did we see since we're getting towards the end of the show. Rigger Spoon says even Coach Boone, when Rev got hurt, had to change. I love Remember the Titans reference. I love Remember the Titans
Football
reference.
movies.
You're my guy, Rigger Spoon.
This is good.
You're my guy, Rigger
No,
Spoon.
do not encourage this.
This is good.
Even Coach Boone and Rev got hurt, had to change his offense to Sunshine's strengths. Even he didn't stick with his Novocaine offense. Just saying.
Yeah.
I remember Novocaine.
I gotta watch that movie again. Man.
This is
Now I gotta watch it for
I've
sure.
been seeing clips of this on TikTok. It's funny.
This is a
Oh,
top
man.
tier chat message right here. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
win.
Appreciate you. Dustin comes back, says our show dropping at 3 p.m. Please be sure to check out the Up Tempo podcast a little later today. He says, appreciate you fellas. C-Dub's opening remarks need to be painted on a wall in the new facility. Appreciate that, Dustin. Hope someone gets the message. This is an amazing name here. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Only PT I recognize at this point is Pastor Troy.
Well, he took it back. I know. You graduated with us.
This is
Hey,
quality
talk about
too.
Pastor Troy.
Definitely around our age for sure. With the Pastor Troy references. Cal Sweat says, I am counting on this staff to acknowledge the previous staff and give them credit to getting us Ashford, and we finished 7-5.
There's a whole conversation, and maybe we'll have this tomorrow.
Mm.
Maybe our metrics Monday. Oh, I ain't gonna be on the. Y'all can have a conversation. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all can talk about this tomorrow.
All right.
All right.
Mhm.
I don't know what you're talking about, but all right. Ben Bloodworth says somebody needs hair sticking up over that visor.
Mm. Okay. Noted. We'll ask Monday. What's up with that visor?
He can get a handyman from no, I'm just
James Barnett says, I bought a mug.
Hey.
However, I want my mug though. So email us business at the War Report. You already know the deal, James. Appreciate you being with us as always. I think you got a super chat down here too that we'll grab. Ed Darby says, for what? The team?
Your team? Yeah, this is the elite comment too.
Nah, I'm gonna get mine. That's a bad attitude. You've been doing your job. Then tell your buddies to block for Rev one time.
I love
amazing.
For the
the
team.
Remember the Titans references, baby.
What
Y'all
team?
in here.
A
That
Lego
team.
football movie.
I'm gonna get mine.
attitude,
Oh,
reflect
man.
leadership.
I'm finna watch it. Now I gotta watch this movie. Loving it. Rusk 184 says, is Gus at the helm because 9 is better and he ain't it? Listen, I was gonna say this too. People who've been saying Gus 2.0 when we hired Hugh.
I think Gus would have you robbing you the game, honestly.
Maybe, but at the same time, we've seen
Current quarterbacks
Gus
we
talk
have?
about how close these QBs are, or praise the backup QBs, only for us to not see them when he should change or have a change of pace.
Gus
QB.
loved him a running QB, man. He
That
loved
is
him.
true.
Yeah, he
Later.
loved him.
He didn't want Lamar Jackson. He wanted Tyler Queen.
That's true.
Dude, don't ever forget. Do not ever forget. I will never forget that.
Don't ever forget.
Heisman winning NFL MVP Lamar Jackson couldn't get a scholarship to play quarterback from
Tyler
us.
Queen ended up playing tight end somewhere. Big homie, appreciate you, says, I truly believe if Robbie had been given the same opportunity as Thorne, we would have won at least one of the last 3. Who
Yeah,
knows?
Yeah, you got to give him a start, man. And you got to let him play the whole game without looking over.
I don't know what would have happened. I don't know how many games we would have won. I don't and the woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. I don't
That's
really
hard.
want to entertain. Right? Like I don't know. You know, with Robbie with more chances, would he have completed more passes? Would he have run for more? Would he have? I don't know any of that stuff. What I do know is what has happened, and that has not looked good.
Yeah,
That's what I do know.
And when Robbie has been in, we saw what did look good. So it makes sense to at least give him more snaps. So we're just saying, give the kid a shot. He may prove you right, and it should have been Thorne this whole time. But
no, it shouldn't have been Thorne.
No.
I'm just saying,
Thorne.
Move on to Holden. Move on to Holden.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Next,
But my point is, because again, we've been the same guys who's been told, oh, you like TJ, y'all think TJ better. No, we're saying give the next guy up a shot.
Yeah, the floor should not be this low.
Right? Give the next guy a shot. If if what you've been saying is true, that Robbie, you can win with these 3 quarterbacks, or you can win with Robbie or Holden. Give him a shot then. Unless you didn't mean that. But anyway. Tiffany Byer says Coach Freeze has been transparent except about this QB situation. We honestly answered the inevitable questions about the QB at the next presser.
You know what? I don't think he hasn't been transparent because he sounded disappointed in Peyton Thorne. Like he's quick to say, no, yeah, he missed on that one. But what he hasn't done was change anything. Like that's what he hasn't done. He's criticized Peyton Thorne on the sideline visibly while the game is going on. He's gotten to the pressers after the games and said he missed that. He's going to have to do better at that. But he still hasn't pulled them. So, I mean, why are you even criticizing him at this point? You're just going to ride with him. It's like just somebody who's going, man, this girl, man, she's driving me crazy. Leave her. Man, I can't leave her, man. Don't complain no more. It's gone. You going to keep doing what you're going to do. Don't complain.
Nah, I like to complain. James Barnett says, fellas, we have AU supporters that says Robbie is not it, and at the same time says Peyton Thorne needs more time, even though Robbie has showed what he can do. Shaking my head.
Yeah, I would just caution everybody against, the position that they put Ashford in is that, look, let's say he gets to start next week, there are going to be rough moments. There are going to be bad plays. There are going to be misreads. There are going to be moments. It's that you can't suddenly expect perfection once you get to the game.
The wide receivers were only bad, and it's only blocking, and it's only play calling when it's the quarterback that they like. Right. When Robbie gets in, it's Robbie's fault. If Holden Geriner gets to start, it's going to be Holden's fault. But it's not the quarterback in any of the other scenarios, though.
Yeah, I just wondered. I'm cautioning people that I was okay with Peyton starting the season to see what he had. I felt like he would raise the floor in the room. I don't think that's been true though, but I'm basing that on real world results.
Right.
And so once you get the other guy deserves enough starts to determine whether he's it or not too. Now listen, man, if you know me, I'm not in favor of any QB having an infinite leash. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I think if you're that dude, because you get so few chances, think about like TJ Finley, right? Who gets dude, he is fortunate to have gotten as many chances as he's gotten to play starting QB at this level. Most guys don't even get it. Sometimes some guys have to tell they don't even get the shot. Right. So if you
look at Holden Geriner right now, he hasn't gotten an opportunity to show what he has in college.
Right. And it would be and he's listen, mark my words, he's going to leave here not having gotten that shot here at Auburn, hoping that somebody else without with tape is going to give him the shot at another major program. It's so difficult. So I think that if you're that dude, you have to make the most of the opportunities that you're given. Did anybody see that video of Tom Brady talking about how he was only getting 2 reps in practice? And he kept telling, he's like, Coach, how am I supposed to show what I can do if I'm only getting 2 reps in practice? And he told me, he said, go out and make those your best 2 reps of your life. And so that's what he did. And then they gave him 4 reps. And then they gave him 6 reps. If you're Robbie Ashford, unfortunately, you're at that point in your career where patience is not something people are going to have with you. So you have to go out and make the most of those few reps that you can. You have to eliminate yourself as a negative from the equation, and you got to make plays when you're given chances. That's it, because he's already gotten more chances than some guys ever get. But you also have to be willing to accept that it's not all going to look great. So I felt like he did that on Saturday. He was given 4 throws, technically 5, and he went out and he completed 4 out of 5 of them. 3 out of 4, one was technically a backwards pass, but it was to Cobb, and he got 13 yards on the play. Yeah. So I feel like he went out and he made the most of the opportunity of the 5 throws he was given. He made the most of them, and he's got to continue to do that until they trust him with more. So that's his lot. Those are the straws he drew.
Anon Rush says today's show is fire. We can blame talent all we want, but at some point, coaches had to change things up and help players. Don't think that happened yet, especially during the bye week.
Yeah, good comment.
Comes back and says, the only reasonable explanation I have for this is that our players execute everything to perfection in practice, and they practice like all Americans.
Yeah, there again, I would caution Anon here, but they're also executing different things in practice than they're running in games. That's something that I will never be able to get him to acknowledge this publicly. But again, the reports, my sources are telling me, hey, look, it doesn't look like this in practice, and then for whatever reason, they're abandoning what they practiced once the game starts. So, hopefully they get that figured out.
Prince Chuku says Peyton Thorne throws scared. He doesn't make passes over the middle of the field. Even the slant passes were more upfield than the middle. Some of you may know Ike when you look at the film review. Courtney Chandler says, Ike, C&T standing with you on everything you said.
C&T talking Tigers. Yeah. Hard to disagree with anything Ike said. Sucks.
Yeah. Ashlyn Tuberville says, shout out to everyone at the War Report, always with the best perspective on Auburn, and especially today for making me feel better after a terrible loss.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, today's show, it was a lot of tough statements being made. It wasn't a bunch of Auburn's gonna be okay, but let me say this: Auburn is gonna be okay. I have confidence they're gonna figure this out. My only statement is you have to acknowledge there's a problem before you can get to a solution.
Yes.
Just acknowledging there's a problem. Now, as I've stated before, I have zero responsibility for that problem, and I can't make the solution happen. All I can say is what I see, and what I'm seeing, I ain't liking. And I want for Auburn to fix this because I'm an Auburn fan for life at this point in time. So I'm not going to stop being an Auburn fan all of a sudden. I'm just going to have to be dealing with this in pain until we fix it.
Right. Acknowledging a problem, but also taking accountability and responsibility for the part you played in this problem existing. Then you can get to finding a solution. Because it's easy to say, we need to execute. It's easy to say, you know what I mean? When it's someone else's responsibility, I'm less inclined to take the initiative to fix it. Yeah. I need the people who can fix it to take some ownership in this problem that we currently have.
Yeah.
Let's get to it, guys. Let's talk about what we saw.
What did we see?
If you are just joining us, I have already gone. You can check the beginning of the show for my thoughts. Who wants to go?
I'm going to go. I got to get out of here. So mine's going to be pretty quick here. Look, guys, here's the deal. Dan Lanning gets it, and Oregon should be just fine. I saw 3 atrocious calls on Saturday. I had people argue with me on Twitter. Easy to be a couch coach, Mike G. I'm like, wait, what? To kick a field goal in a game where you're moving the ball? Take the points. This morning, I woke up to an article where the title said, Dan Lanning says, the loss is 100% on me. He didn't throw his players under the bus. He said it's on me. He explained why he made those decisions. A lot of people, tweeted at me, field goals aren't going to win this game, Mike G. Well, as it turns out, field goals would have won that game. If you kick enough of them, they add up to a touchdown worth of points. 3 chances they had to either take a field goal or make a field goal, and even one of them would have gotten the win for Oregon. 1 out of 3. 2 of them you didn't take. The third one you took in desperation at the end. It was a pressure kick, and then that guy missed it. But most importantly, after the game, he didn't say we got to make that kick at the end. He didn't say Bo has to make that 4th down pass. He pointed at himself, and that's what leaders do. We didn't get it done, guys. That's on me. I thought that the way they were scoring, we needed those points. I was wrong. I thought we needed the points. I was wrong. That's on me. I thought maybe let's go for this on fourth down. As it turned out, they scored in 2 plays after we turned it over. That's on me. And I love when coaches take responsibility for the decisions they make. Because ultimately, Oregon played their hearts out. Bo played his heart out. Everybody on that team played their hearts out to the best of their abilities. And at the end of the day, the coaching decisions gave what will ultimately end up being the Heisman winner for this year too many chances to beat them. And he did.
Yeah.
Michael Penix stood in the pocket. I watched him, and he got hit as he threw the ball. And he completed pass after pass and landed, but Oregon played well enough to win that game. That was definitely as much as I despise the no defense playing asses in the pack, guys. That was the game of the year. Those two teams put on a show. And at the end of the day, the coach took responsibility for not putting his players in the best position to win. And I wish we would hear that from more coaches more often. It's on me, guys. It's my job. I'm the one that gets paid multiple M's in the bank to make sure that you are in the best position to win at the end of every game. And they still might get their shot at revenge this year. So watch out for them. If he learns from it, Oregon might find themselves in the playoff. I see my time.
Who next?
Man, let me go on and get my little thing on, bro. Oh. I tried to tell people. They said I was crazy. Y'all watched a bunch of videos of him throwing the ball 60 yards during the offseason. You watched a version of this offense really work with him during a bowl game. You watched this offense tear it up last year with a different quarterback. And I tried to tell people, I don't think he's got it. I don't think Joe Milton is that guy. I'm here to tell you again, I don't think he's got it. I don't think Joe Milton is that guy. I think Joe Milton is a supremely talented athlete. I think that there is a version of an offense that would work really well for him. I don't think that offense is the Tennessee one that requires a quarterback that throws with precision, that requires a quarterback to be more accurate than what Joe Milton can do consistently. There is a version of an offense that can work with Joe Milton at quarterback. It's not this one. He's not going to be the savior of Tennessee football this year. It's not going to happen because that's not him. It's not his game. He's got a huge arm. The boy's got a cannon for an arm. This offense doesn't require the cannon. You got to be surgical. Joe Milton's not surgical. He's not that guy. He's never shown himself to be that guy. Again, that doesn't mean that he can't be successful playing quarterback. It just means he's not going to work in a Josh Heupel system. They got to figure something else out, or they're going to continue to score 14 points in games. It's as simple as that. If you have the wrong person driving the car, it doesn't matter how nice the car is. Really nice car. I've seen that car out there running laps around people. Different driver, different results. He ain't the one. Not for that car. Maybe there's a different car out there for him that he can go and drive. He's not the guy for this system. I don't know what else to say. That's it.
B?
Man, I might not have articulated it exactly on here. Well, no, I've said this. Lincoln Riley's a fraud. So let's start there. Let's put a pin in that. The next part of that is I've seen multiple quarterbacks pile up numbers under Lincoln Riley and ultimately be just okay once they're not there. Kyler Murray, lots of numbers left, and now got paid a lot of money because what NFL teams do, they pay to not have to go back to the doldrums. You got to pay him a contract, or you go back to the feeding frenzy in the draft and hope you get a guy that's like, we'll try with Kyler Murray. Fine, we'll pay him some money. Baker Mayfield, he looked like he might be good. Then he's been on 3 different teams in like 2 years. So, I mean, Tampa Bay's okay right now. I don't know. It's all about what's going to be around him, right? Y'all told me Caleb Williams. No. Y'all didn't tell me that. People have compared him to Patrick Mahomes because of broken plays and his ability to improvise while he's scrambling. I have never seen Patrick Mahomes from Caleb Williams. I think he has a great advantage in the talent that's around him. Lincoln Riley promptly put a bunch of all-world wide receiver talents all around this man, so the numbers are there. Pac-12 defenses are awful, so the numbers are there. Every time Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley, for that matter, go up against a good defense, you don't even have to be in the league. We're not talking Georgia. We're talking Tulane, Utah, and now Notre Dame. You get almost nothing. To be clear here, this is not an issue where they put up a bunch of points and even though against these good defenses, they kind of fight their way into the game and eventually put up points. Like if you want to look at what Clemson did in his 2 back-to-back championships against Bama, that was, we're good at offense, but we might not win this game. But at least when you put a great defense in front of us, we're still going to score those points. Deshaun Watson did his thing both of those times because he was a great quarterback and the offenses were good. What you see happen from Lincoln Riley teams is we're running numbers on everybody who doesn't have the talent to fight back. You put a decent defense in front of us, and we get shell-shocked. I'm going to call shenanigans on this offensive genius thing, and I'm also going to call shenanigans on this whole offensive guru. Anytime you can have much better offensive talent than the other teams you see has defensive talent, of course you're going to look good. The Big 12's defense had been trashed for years while he was on this little run. But every time he met a decent team in the playoff, maybe not so much. Maybe it looked a little different. I don't know what I know what USC saw in Lincoln Riley. High enough profile, was going to bring some talented offensive players with them. They had been in the doldrums. Sure, he's an upgrade from what it had been. I don't know why everybody's so on Lincoln Riley. I never saw it. I didn't think he was going to win the Heisman this year. And not just because he wasn't going to put up numbers. Of course, he's going to put up numbers. To go to Notre Dame, a team that had just lost to Louisville, right? I think Notre Dame had just lost to Louisville the week prior and put up the same number of points that I think they beat Notre Dame like 20-13 or something. Hey, man. The Louisville Cardinals, with the first-year head coach, put up the same number of points as a reigning Heisman winner and all the toys he's had to play with all season. Is anybody seeing this? Like, I've seen this before from Lincoln Riley, though. Like, if you're good at what you do, you should be able to do it no matter what. Let your defense falter. Okay, that's a fault on you as a head coach. But at least the thing that you're supposed to be good at is working. A one defense that can push back a little bit and all of a sudden you can't move the ball. Heisman winner, 5-star wide receiver, freshman, great wide receiver that's still there. Like, what's going on? Lincoln Riley's a fraud. That's what's going on. He's been that. He's going to continue to be that. It's not that he won't eventually look up into enough talent that you can get you over the hump. We've seen supreme talent win out and kind of counterbalance bad coaching. That absolutely happens. And it's not that he can't do it. He's been head coach for like 8 years now. 3 Heisman winners, and you still haven't done it? Buddy, I would never. He got a few more years. USC is going to be in the Big Ten. It's going to be fun to watch him never win a natty. And I'm enjoying thing. He's gonna be on my list for a while. I had to get off Kirby. I was on Kirby a few years ago, and then he got over the hump. So we can't talk about Kirby no more. He's doing.
No, you cannot.
We can keep talking about Jimbo too. We're gonna get that next week. We're gonna get that next week. He's back on the block, Jimbo. Back on the block, Jimbo. Glad to see. I couldn't talk after we lost to you. You know what I'm saying? But it's been a good couple weeks since then. That's all I got.
Good show, gentlemen. I appreciate all of that. That was great. Ike, how do people get a green name? How can they check out the film reviews this week?
Real simple. That join button's right there. Listen, I get it. We're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but don't make the tea any less good just because it's not your cup, baby. We still out here doing our thing. So y'all who enjoy it, please support us by getting the green name, and we appreciate it. If you don't have a green name, maybe somebody wants to gift you one for a month, and we appreciate everybody who continues to do that. Check out the other guys in the network. That is the Auburn Express, the Uptempo Podcast, Call It Loot, and Just a Sec Podcast, all a part of the War Report Network. If you didn't get a chance to win something today, you can head to our shop. TheWarReport.com is where you can do that, and you can purchase something. And then another shout out to Golden's Cast Iron. Head to goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off of weights, $65 off of fire pits and Kamado grills when you use code TWR.
And don't forget, before you get out of here, to share this content, this video with fellow Auburn fans, family, friends, co-workers. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're on social media, Instagram, Twitter, even Facebook at The War Report. You can also find us on TikTok at TW Report. That's it for now, guys. But we will catch you tomorrow with the morning drop. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, where you go?
There you go.